the difference between me and not all, but a lot of people like me, and a lot of people in society, most people in society, do things or make decisions based out of where they are in a social hierarchy in order to help climb that ladder, or to appease those at the top. Me, I make my decisions based upon what I believe is right. I do my very best to do things that what I believe is right. But I don't own the land here because I'm just renting, and there's 18 units, and there's But if we could do vegetation and just live off the land and do all that type of thing, I would. But supermarkets have always made it easy for us, so I do my very best to do things like that. Again, I don't own this land, so if you see people getting bullied, and that they haven't done anything wrong, they're just you can stand up for them, because obviously those who are bullying them think that they are lesser than, and I know what that's like. So yeah, it's just way better to stand for what you stand for because you believe in it. Okay, I'm just going to put this in the cover, the thing I usually hold it in. It's on 40% and it's 4 o'clock. Got my food on cook. I was going to start at 5, but I just received a message. Because I missed a phone call from our boss asking if I could start at 8 and finish at 7 rather than to start at 5 and finish at 1. So, because the other person has called in sick. So I said yes. Cool. And I suppose positive on my end when it comes to think about it, because I was just like, I did 55 hours last week, so I got 480 in the accessible savings, and I want to get it back up to 1,000. And it's November, so I can use my Christmas club for groceries, and I had 800 on there, so let's grab 100 off it, and then that means I have $100 for spending money, because the 55 hours will be enough for me to get my savings back to $1,000. So I won't have to get any groceries. I'll just use that $100 of groceries for spending money if friends want to catch up. Like if Kayla or Wania or Jonathan wants to catch up. I've got plans for the future. The future's looking bright. But at the moment I'm doing what I gotta do. But I know it's bright. I mean, time-wise, I want to go do this class and go do that class, but you have to be realistic in the fact that you don't have limitless amount of energy, and then with the friends that you have, it takes time and effort, and it takes time and effort to maintain them, and it's always good to be loyal. So, here's the thing. I've always believed, and I used to think, and I've known this for many years now, at least a decade, maybe longer. I used to get shocked as a teenager when people would do things that went against what they said they stood for, and then you find out people who were just socially ostracizing others, or spreading nasty rumors, or maybe 4 or 5 of them would go up to this one person and say a whole bunch of mean stuff that you knew would cut that person to the core. Like, when you're a teenager, and then they'll comment on their clothes or comment that you said this to that and these other people were saying this, and there's like 4 or 5 of them. I used to go and, once I knew what was going on, which was pretty much straight away, but I always liked to make sure that I wasn't standing up for someone that they were fighting against or doing these things against in return, because that's what they've done to others. I like to make sure that this is not the same type of person. So once you saw it like a second time, or maybe a third time, because of your just starting to listen to your gut, then I'd go and stand up with that person, and there'd be like these other 5 teenagers or whatever, and then there'd be this one teenager, and then me, and when I was a teenager, and then I would be like, asking them what their problem is, like calmly, because I actually was moved out of compassion for when I saw those things, and then I'd ask what's going on and ask him what's going on, and then I'd go off my gut based upon the 2 or 3 situations I saw and my feeling and what they said. And there was a number of times that people did the same for me. It was either that person or someone that was like a brother or a sister of that person. When they saw that happening to me, and I'd say like, and I'd stand up for myself, but I'd be like, like shocked when people giving me a hard time. So yeah, let's get straight back on track, shall we? It's always good to stand up for what you believe in because you believe in it, not because you want to climb some perceived imaginary social hierarchy, but you want to do it because you believe it's the right thing to do. And again, this is part of my character, so I didn't write anything down. Obviously, if I was talking to someone, they would have interjected or they would have walked off, or but you guys can get to see what people with my wiring actually are like. We have differences because we have different hobbies and different interests, but the communication methods and all this other things, like our character, personality, all this type of stuff is very, very similar, but we'll be different in our interests and our opinions. So, since I've been talking about this, you may think that that I was kind of kicking down when I mentioned Terry Ann Bell and Borderlines. Well, she's actually got a net worth of $2 million, which I don't have a problem with, because I want to be in the same position. So you can't cry and whinge and bitch and complain to someone who's in the position you want to be at just because they're already at it. Because if you're in that position, you wouldn't be, But the thing I have with Borderlines is the thing is this: I always stood up for myself, to my beliefs and that. And that people have come and gone, and I've outgrown people and stuff, but I've always had like close friends that lasted at least 5 years. Most of them about a decade or so. The thing is it's been proven that with borderlines, a lot of them start out on the spectrum, but what makes them different is because we have different families, different upbringings, all this type of thing, different levels of trauma, like, because we get bullied relentlessly from the world, but if you have supportive parents, it makes a very big difference. My parents weren't really that supportive, like they say they were, but then they'd back off, or if they didn't get their way, or something like that, or they'd join the side of the other people. There'll be part 2.